Welcome back, YouTubers. Some of our ROH Wrestling even, on Sinclair Review, with us, the British Fist.
Gotcha.
Hey, at least I got my botch out of the way in this week in the first 10 seconds. I am Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me is the one and only NJ.
What's up?
Make sure you guys subscribe up above, like this video, comment your thoughts if you saw this ROH episode down in that comment section below.
Make sure you contact us in the link in the box below.
In typical Kofi Kingston fashion, let's get the botch out of the way and improve gradually as the match goes on, shall we?
Yeah.
Right, so we open up this ROH after last week's sort of lackluster show, in my opinion, with too much filler. We open up with a 2-minute video package showing last week's main event. Short enough for you?
Short enough. It showed us what we needed to see. So obviously that's going to probably lead somewhere, so yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see the point of that main event personally, but we get the announcement of the main event tonight, which is the match we got announced last week in some capacity. El Generico versus Jay Lethal in a rematch for the TV title. One match I definitely was looking forward to, especially for their first match they had.
Well, out of the match that we got tonight, that was the one that obviously had the most excitement to look forward to.
A title. It says so much, doesn't it? TV title on TV. Learn from that, TNA. We open up the show with an interview segment with damn boys, the Briscoes, talking about best in the world. They're basically just being the Briscoes and talking about Final Battle and their feud with World's Greatest Tag Team. It was a decent... I like the fact they're getting at least some interview time, especially if they're going to have a match. I don't think they need it, but it's good that they're still getting it, I guess. It was like a minute long.
Yeah, again, with them having something coming up, they need to start being appear on TV, have promos, and just get to where their point is.
Yeah, not that they've appeared on TV enough, but I mean, they have. They've appeared on TV almost every week. But we also got an interview segment from Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman. I noticed something about this. Caprice Coleman did all the talking, and I was kind of like, do you know what? I can kind of buy into this guy a little bit. At least he's got a bit of attitude. He showed a lot more attitude than he did in his first couple of interview segments. And he's there saying that they want to set up a mainstream rebellion, kind of like a new tag team coming in. I like it. It means I can kind of buy into, like, even though I don't like them as a tag team and they need a tag team name, at least they're trying to make some kind of character image out of them and some sort of meaning for them coming into ROH.
Well, after seeing their first match, I really weren't looking forward to this. I was expecting a bit more, but obviously ROH need their tag team, so why not? They
need the odd jobber tag team, don't they? But yeah, I agree with you. After the first match they had, I wasn't really, you know, their moves, their wrestling seemed very sloppy. But we get to the match anyway. The Briscoes versus Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman, and I just wonder, who's the face and who's the heel team here? I don't know. When Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander last fought, they were a heel. Briscoe's a heel. I don't know what's going on there, but the bottom line is the match was going pretty well, and after about 3 minutes, World's Greatest Tag Team come in and attack the Briscoes with steel chairs. I felt it could have gone on a lot longer, and they could took some of the filler out. Do you know what I mean? Maybe gone on a little bit longer and then done what they did, and it probably would have been a little bit more effective, in my opinion.
Well, to be honest, this match was okay, but I think when they brought the chairs in, I thought that made the match end exciting, so I was okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good example of trying to tell a story while, you know, it's affected the match somewhat, but at least we got some storylines there. It ends up at DQ after 3 minutes. You know, they fit in a lot in this match in 3 minutes, and you know, I don't understand why ROH took an advert right after they came in and were just about to go outside. The worst time you could have took an advert, a moment like that, which we're never ever going to see, probably not going to see in ROH for another couple of months, them going outside the arena, and we get a fucking advert. That was disappointing.
It was disappointing because obviously there could have been more action outside there.
Exactly.
It could have been something exciting to see.
Exactly, it really could have. And the footage outside, I didn't see much of it, but my God, it was really hard to see, wasn't it? The big issue there for that ROH production value was they went outside and it was great. I enjoyed it. I watched an episode of FCW where they went outside and you could see perfectly. But ROH, you couldn't really see it. Even though it was a great thing to do and really excited me somewhat, I just couldn't see what they were doing. They didn't give it nearly enough time.
No, again, it could have been some big improvements. We do have our bad points about that certain part of the event.
I guess so. After that, which kind of hyped up the tag team title match, I guess, we have an enhancement match. Michael Elgin versus the tag team of Sean Casey and Raphael Constantine. What?
The tag team I wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly, because two jobbers. I like how ROH can do these enhancement matches, just take guys from, say, OVW, so they can sort of... It really brings back the whole jobber match thing, making someone look strong. This one about 5 minutes. It was all about showing Michael Elgin's strength, and that is what the match should have done.
And I'll say the ending of this, it definitely shows strength in a good way, because he did like a spine buster with both of them.
Yeah, a double Alabama slam, wasn't it?
That's what yeah.
I do wonder what they have planned for him. I hope they have something good for him planned at Final Battle, because I do believe that I expect 2012 to be a big year for Michael Elgin, especially after he won Survival of the Fittest, which also gives him a chance at the title. And it's something different in that main event. And I enjoyed watching him squash 2 jobbers. I really did, and I think his power, the way he wrestles, is a lot different from what you usually see in ROH, and really provides some sort of contrast which they need at the moment.
For a middle match, again, for a jobber match, got a good length. The match itself's okay. It showed its strength, and the ending, again, it's just an epic ending. Just a nice way to show your strength.
The double Alabama Slam. And again, in this week, we got 3. I know the matches didn't go on too long. We got 3 matches. We got the main event, this middle match, and the first match. And again, I thought the opening sort of half an hour flowed pretty well. I really did. We also had Jim Cornette in a segment talking about how he's going to make Kevin Steen an offer. How he wants Kevin Steen, the lawyers, Carino Jacobs, and himself to meet in the ring next week. And I'm thinking, I'm so wanting to watch next week's show now. I'm going to see Kevin Steen in an ROH ring. Come on, baby.
Well, for Cornette to announce this in a segment was good. Instead of it just happening out the blue, actually allowing it hype next week, it was good to see. I think Cornette did a good job of making it quick, simple, and it got us wanting to see next week.
So the show was flowing pretty well. Again, like last week, for the first half an hour, I thought was flowing okay. There was some storylines, some decent matches. And then we get to another Inside ROH segment. And I don't know about you, Andrew, but these are just getting really boring and are really sort of putting me off the shows a little bit.
Well, I would liked it if it was short, but when I was watching this, I really lost interest and really fast. This just didn't do much for me.
The problem with this is, you see training footage of Dan Severn. We know Dan Severn is supposed to be this sort of like, interim between Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards for their feud, but the feud just isn't interesting. I mean, them two in segments, not interesting. They're going to have a great match, we know that, but the feud itself just isn't interesting. I just can't get into this, and these interview segments really didn't help, in my opinion. It was more about Dan Severn, and they should have done it. I think they could have done it much better. But
that's so true. I was watching this, and again, I just didn't. I could see where it was going, but obviously they did it in a really long pace. It just really was hard to get into when it went on for as long as it did.
So the feud between Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards is supposed to be because Eddie Edwards, traded Davey Richards because he took his guy that he was going to train with. I'm sorry, but that's not a very good premise for a feud, especially one that is going to be main eventing one of your top pay-per-view of the year, Final Battle. It's just, this feud has just been so badly done. I think by now you should have probably turned Eddie Edwards heel, maybe, so at least we could get some interest and you could build some kind of feud, and this just isn't the way of doing it. I'd rather see some in-ring segments between the two, rather than these Inside ROH segments which drag on a little bit too long and really don't do that much.
Well, when it comes to ROH, we watch it because of wrestling, and to be honest, this whole show so far, the match has been short. The non-in-ring action, the Inside ROH, has been too long. So to be honest, it would have been better if some of this Inside ROH stuff was actually wrestling, used for wrestling.
We got 23 minutes of wrestling tonight. I don't know, that's about average for ROH, I guess. A lot of it went into that main event. We also had, they talk about changing Eddie Edwards' game plan, making him a winner, putting friendship to the side, teaching him a killer instinct. That's all good stuff. But again, I just cannot buy into it. They've just not done this very well. And I'm sorry, but sorry ROH fans who like this rivalry, but it's just not entertaining for guys like us. It's just not there. It's just not a big rivalry. I'm more interested in Kevin Steen and the TV title and the tag team title at this point.
That's true. Again, they need to start getting hyped up, especially if they have build it for pay-per-view coming.
Yeah, which they've done okay. I won't judge them too much on that. We'll probably preview it or something. I don't know. We also got a statement from Roderick Strong's training camp. Why? This guy is terrible as a terrible talker, and he's just in there with a bunch of girls. It was pointless. It really was.
Again, you've given us a long Inside ROH already. This just added more. It was filler, it was boring, and obviously I just really didn't find anything interesting about this.
What's the point in having Truth Martini be his manager when Roderick Strong is always going to freaking talk? He's terrible on the mic. Yes, he talks a little bit about the Strong Challenge and what's going to, who's going to take it, but in a segment like this, I'm sorry, it just, God, why are they even making him talk? I'm just saying. We'll move on from that Inside ROH segment. The problem is now, it's a real downer in the show, isn't it? Because the show for me flowed quite well even, until that Inside ROH segment. I'm kind of like, they're not done badly. It's just they jag on so much and it's just not very interesting to watch, is it? Especially when you watch this for what we do, which is wrestling, essentially.
It's true. I was really disappointed with this. It's obviously, when it started, I wasn't expecting much for it because of past Inside ROHs, and it just didn't get any better as it went on.
We want storylines, but we want them to progress from in-ring stuff and in-ring segments. But we'll move on to the main event. The main event was Jay Lethal versus El Generico for the ROH TV title in a rematch from the match they had on the second episode, which I remember being very good. The first thing we noticed about this match is that Mr. Mike Bennett, Mr. Entertainer, is at ringside with his manager, Brutal Bob Evans.
The good thing about that is that obviously within there, you know he's going to get involved sooner or later to obviously hype up the Jay Lethal and that. So it did justice there.
Yeah, I kind of like the addition of Mike Bennett at ringside. It teases, something. Maybe I think there's going to be a triple threat between the three of these guys at Final Battle. The match itself it went the time limit draw. No surprise there, it's ROH. The match was good. I like the fact that Mike Bennett puts on the TV title. It's some storyline in something, which is nice. It's nice to see from ROH they're actually trying to tell some kind of story, in my opinion. What do you think of the match and this whole Bennett thing?
Well, after the first part of ROH, which was the main event, I wasn't really into it. But this match, it put on a lot of great performance. It was an entertaining match, which it should be because it's the main event. And it got to see good moves from both of them. The crowd was more into this than the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So overall, I thought it was an okay ending.
It's pretty much the epitome of the TV title, isn't it? A good TV match out of it and defend it at pay-per-views. That's what WWE mid-card belt should be used for. But at the end of the match, we get Mike Bennett distracting the ref as Jay Lethal gets the pin, which causes a time limit draw. I'm not usually a big fan of these time limit draws, but the way they did it, getting Mike Bennett involved and distracting the ref, I'll pass it this time, and it continues some kind of storyline while no one had to job, and it's all three of them are now in the TV title scene, and there's been a triple threat: El Generico versus Bennett versus Lethal at Final Battle for the TV title announced on the website. So this did well for that.
Well, the thing is, the screwing at the end from Bennett, I thought it was nicely done because obviously it's left us unclean winner. He'll probably get that going on to the pay-per-view or wherever the match is going to be. It's definitely done its job. I thought it was a nice ending.
And it got in heel heat too, because he stopped a match which people wanted to see, and that is how they should be using this guy, getting heel heat like that. He's the kind of guy that could be a guy who could get a lot of heel heat in ROH, especially being against ROH's fans' desires of being a good wrestler. Just saying. Right, so this whole main event, what were your thoughts on this, just to sum this main event up? Good match, some good storytelling, time limit draw.
I liked it. It was the best part of the show for me.
Best segment of the show by far. Right, next week we've got the announcement of Young Bucks versus Future Shock, and we've also got a Kevin Steen appearance. Are you looking forward to next week's show? Question.
Well, it's hyped us up. It's gave us matches. We've been told what we're getting, so it's given us something to look forward to, so to progress from this week to next week.
Yeah.
And overall, the things that we get next week, it should be a good show.
Young Bucks versus Future Shock is a match I want to see, and Kevin Steen appearance in the ring. My God, give it to me now. So we've got some decent pay-per-view hype there. I guess that the opening segment for me wasn't the best opening segment, but at least it did its job to hype up the feud between World's Greatest Tag Team and the Briscoes. I do wonder if they're going to bring All Night Express into this anytime soon. I feel they may do that. The squash match did its job of making everything look strong. I just wonder what they're going to do with them going into the pay-per-view. A little bit of direction may be needed there. The Inside ROH segment, they're starting to ruin the show, in my opinion. The main event overall was very good. I like the fact we got 3 matches. The show flowed. If that Inside ROH segment went out, the show for me would have flowed pretty well and would have been a very good show, in my opinion.
Well, the way I look at it, to be honest, in my opinion, I didn't really enjoy this ROH show. I didn't. I was trying to get into it, but the stuff backstage, not backstage, but the video packages and that, kind of threw me off a bit. The Inside ROH threw me off even more. It was just the main event that actually got me interested, got me thinking, this is a good way to end the show.
Okay, well, each his own, I guess. So, overall, do you want to grade it or no point in grading it, is there? So that's really been our thoughts on this episode of ROH. Make sure you get your thoughts in that comment section below as to what you thought on this show. And NJ, do what the Great One does, and that is end the segment high.
Well, people, thank you for watching our ROH review, and all I can say now, from Mr. Parkin and NJ, hopefully you've enjoyed this ROH. Tune in next week when we're going to get those things announced, and hope to be better than this week. Leave your comments in the comment section below, and goodbye.